The month in 2023 where nothing or nobody will have you prepared to handle the transformations and transmutations happening will be this month of October. Let us understand what kinds of transits of planets are triggering these kind of intense planetary energies during the month of October. Before we move along, I would first like to thank all the viewers and the subscribers for supporting the channel. At the moment of recording this video, just crossed 800 subscribers. So I would like to request you all, if you like the video that you watched and you would like to stay connected with whatever videos will be released on the channel, then please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you like the content, then also do share it with the people who might be interested in the same sort of content regarding the videos that you like to watch on this channel. Please do watch another video which will be suggested either in the description box or towards the I button on the upper right hand side of the corner of the video screen, so that the algorithm knows that can recommend this channel to more and more people just like you. But all in all, thank you so much for supporting the channel. We are just a few videos away from completing 100 videos on this channel, and it would be great if we could cross the threshold of 1,000 subscribers on this channel by then. So please keep supporting the channel as you have been, because without you this journey would not have been possible. And also leave down what video would you like to see once we cross the 1,000 subscribers threshold. A video which has a general consensus of all the viewers and subscribers, and then we can tackle those videos simultaneously once we cross the threshold of 1,000 subscribers. Let's move on to the October horoscopes for all the signs. The month begins with Mercury going into its mole trachona sign of Virgo, where it gets combust as it gets conjunct with Sun. Despite being in its sign of strength, Virgo, Mercury will not be able to function at its best ability because the Sun at the time of the eclipse will be at the cusp of moving from Virgo into Libra. Next transit will be of Mars into Libra, wherein it will get conjunct with Ketu on its last leg of being in the sign of Libra for the next 18 years. This planetary energy is going to be disastrous for all significations of its planetary lord Venus, as our relationships, finances, and businesses take a hit. There will be a cleansing energy associated with our needs and wants. We learn how to be detached from the passion of running behind Maya and rather open our eyes to going deeper into the realm of spiritual bliss and charity or donation, which is also reaffirmed by the transit of Rahu into Pisces on 30th of October for the next 18 months. Another reason for all significations of Venus to be damaged is that going into Leo, and hence it will get a 7th aspect from the retrograde Saturn in Aquarius and a 5th aspect from retrograde Jupiter in Aries. This further substantiates the prospect of dealings of the finances within money markets as well as government funds will be affected, as we already see happening. We also have the last set of eclipses happening this month in Aries and Libra axis as the lunar and solar eclipse takes place. Solar eclipse is going to be conjunct with the amalgamation of malefic energy within the sign of Libra with Mars and Ketu and Sun, and eventually Mercury will also join this conjunction of energies. While lunar eclipse is going to be conjunct with Rahu and retrograde Jupiter in the sign of Aries. So these are all of the transits that are happening during this month, which is going to cause these sort of intense changes and transformations within all of our lives. We will be discussing each of these transits separately in different videos. So this is just a brief overview of what kind of energies you are going to be influenced by. let us get into understanding how each of the signs are going to be impacted by these planetary energies in the month of October. And let's start by discussing Aries. For you, this month is going to be very transformative when it comes to your relationships, and also not just with others, but also with yourself. And this is because you have this conjunction of energy and an opposition which is happening in your first and seventh house axis. As we see that in your first house, this is going to be the last month wherein Rahu is going to be in your first house in the sign of Aries. And consecutively, it is going to move on to your 12th house. And also that retrograde Jupiter and the Guru Chandal Yoga is going to break when Rahu moves backwards towards the 12th house. So all this energy concentration in your first house is going to be this revelation time wherein you are really going to focus and understand what is your relationship with your own identity, with your own purpose, with your own personality. All of these things are going to come to a head at this point because we are also having a lunar eclipse at the end of this month, which is going to be taking place in the sign of Aries. So there is going to be this huge emotional release, which is going to be required for you to be able to let go of certain relationships that you have with others, which is impacting your relationship with your own self negatively. There is this huge concentration of malefic energy in your seventh house of romantic and business partnerships. So what you are going to experience during this time period is a concentration of conflict driven energy within your relationships, and that is going to cause a sort of breakdown of any sort of toxic or unwelcoming energy within the relationships that you have festered, or the kind of things which probably would have been hard to let go of until this point. But now the energy which is being created planetarily in this month is going to propel that process of breaking away from such attachments much easier. Because when Mars, Ketu, Sun, Mercury eventually also all get conjunct within the seventh house, this is going to be the time wherein you are going to go deep into the understanding of what is it really that is lacking in your relationships with others. There is a dissatisfaction when it comes to the kind of treatment or the kind of reciprocation that you want within a relationship, which is what you are going to go deeper into the realization and exploration of. Because also we are having a solar eclipse at the mid-month point in the sign of Libra in your seventh house. So all the amalgamation of this energy is going to cause a sort of revealing of some very blatantly obvious shortcomings that have been there in your relationships. And this sort of narrative gets further substantiated by the point that Venus, which is a planet of love and relationships basically in astrology, is right now transiting through your fifth house. The fifth house that itself denotes romantic relationships. But what is the caveat here is that retrograde Saturn as well as retrograde Jupiter are putting their aspects right now on this Venus. So this puts the Venus in a chokehold of energy where it is not as comfortable as it would have been. So what this kind of manifests as is the fact that you are going to feel a sense of obstruction within your relationships, wherein the kind of creative energy or the kind of fun or the kind of excitement that you would have experienced before in your relationships is going to be lacking. And that is probably what can also spark that sort of intuition or the sort of realization within your brain of what really is lacking in your life. You will feel that your relationships are suppressing your creative interest, zeal, that of wanting to live life is going to feel like it's getting trampled or it's getting suppressed by your romantic relationships. We also see that there is going to be a conjunction of Sun and Mercury within your sixth house. And this goes to show that there is going to be this boost of energy within your professional environment, wherein you are going to feel more in tune with your thoughts. You are going to communicate better with your colleagues. You are going to be able to be analytical. We must also remember, when it comes to Venus being impacted, going back to that point, is that Venus also represents money. And the fifth house deals with your investments in speculative gains, or something which has a element of risk attached to it, because it's getting impacted by both retrograde planets. You have to be careful when you are investing your money right now. Thank you so much for watching, for listening to the unedited version of this video and prediction. Go on to my Patreon channel, and the link for the same will be given in the description box. For you, Taurus, this month is going to bring a lot of changes and endings with relation to your process of healing and transformation and spirituality, as your 12th and 6th house axis gets activated by a majority of planetary conjunctions in these houses, as well as the solar and lunar eclipse, which will happen in your 12th and 6th house axis. We see that you have been on a process and journey of going deeper into your spiritual realm, of trying to be in a space where you can have been energetically separate, just because you are on a process of healing and you would like to heal from your traumas, your triggers. Just the process of self-isolation will not help you during this time period. So this is a time period wherein you are going to emotionally figure out a lot of internal blocking things that are right now presenting in your journey towards spirituality. You could have been in a process of thinking that it is your surroundings or your environment which is causing the blockages in your spiritual progress. But this is going to be a time period wherein you are going to have a sort of revelation with regards to how is it your part in the kind of blockages you're facing when it comes to the fact that you are in an isolated state wherein you feel you have spiritually progressed, but you do not have a sort of community or a sort of sounding system wherein you can discuss and talk about the things that you are experiencing at this point. And this is where eventually Rahu is going to move out of your 12th house and is going to shift into your 11th house by the end of this month, hence opening you up to the prospect of connecting with a lot of people who share similar interests as you, especially with regards to spirituality and healing and this kind of journey that you have been on for the past 1.5 years. We also see that in this end of the month, we will have a lunar eclipse, which will happen in the sign of Aries. So this goes to show that energetically you are going to feel a little depleted when it comes to processing all of these revelations, these emotions, and you have to give yourself a time to be able to rest and recharge, to be able to rejuvenate, to be able to counter the revelations, feelings, absorb them, and then finally move forward. Other end of the scope, we see that you have a Ketu, Mars, Sun, Mercury, all these planets getting conjunct in your 6th house. Now, this is where the problem starts. Now, why do I say this is a problem? Because you are a sign which is ruled by Venus, and the place of its best performance is getting impacted by this malefic conjunction of energy. And this is happening in your 6th house, which is a malefic house in itself, as it is a Dushtana house, right? It represents things which don't have the greatest connotations, which is like legal issues, there are debts, there are diseases. What works in your favor here is the fact that in astrology, just like mathematics, two negative energies, when getting conjunct, formulate a positive. So rather than this going massively downhill for you, you are going to feel a negative charge of energy irrespective, but you will be able to catapult that into your biggest wins if you are open to understanding what these challenges are really opening you up to. Now, this house is related to your work environment, so this can be a very clear-cut place wherein you are going to have huge revelations, conflicts, confrontations regarding your professional prospects, your career direction. And this is also further validated by the fact that you have a retrograde Saturn, which is in your 10th house of career. If you go deep into the understanding of what are the things that are really obstructing your paths, your purpose, you are going to have huge revelations when it comes to your career, your purpose, your work environment, what you really want to be doing right now. This is further accentuated by the fact that we are going to have a solar eclipse at the midpoint of this month in your 6th house itself, within this conjunction of energies as well. So this is definitely going to be a time period wherein you are going to do some soul searching regarding what is it really that you want to be working on. Your Venus right now transiting through your 4th house. Now the 4th house is evocative of your family, of your home, is going to be impacted both by retrograde Saturn as well as retrograde Jupiter. You are going to feel obstruction or blockages when it comes to the fact that you're not able to forge the kind of peaceful interactions with your family. You're not able to have a very peaceful, unconfrontational living within your residence. So this is going to basically cause you even a certain degree of emotional turmoil right now. We also see that Sun and Mercury are going to be conjunct in your 5th house in the sign of Virgo. So this is definitely going to be a time period wherein you are going to rediscover certain things or certain activities or creative pursuits that you would have left behind. Thank you so much for watching. And if you want to hear the unedited version of this video, and prediction, you can see that on the Patreon channel, and the link for which will be given in the description box. Geminis, for you, this month is going to be one hell of a ride, because in the first half of the month, you have your planetary lord Mercury, which is conjunct with Sun and hence combust during the first half of the month. And as it moves on to the next sign, it gets conjunct with a huge conjunction of malefic energy, wherein it gets conjunct with Ketu, Mars, and Sun in the sign of Libra, where Mercury will be placed in the first half of the month, which is the sign of Virgo, which is its Mool Trikona sign, or the sign that it works the best in, but it will be combust. Hence, there will be a dampen in your ability to be articulate and to be able to be content within the dynamics of your home and family. This is because this conjunction of Sun and Mercury will be happening through your fourth house, which is evocative of the energies of everything related to peace, harmony, home, and family. So this is a clear indication with the fact that you have to be very careful of the kind of communicational channels you are going to be establishing right now within your family and the kind of members you have at home, because it's going to be extremely important for you to be able to have a similar working dynamic when it comes to the kind of thoughts that you have regarding certain issues that might be pertaining regarding, collectively how you guys will be impacted within your home. And everyone's opinions and everyone's takes need to be considered, because if not, then this can lead to a sense of being unheard or not being able to open up or speak up about what you feel is the right thing to be done in this situation. This can even be in relation to some property matters. As we move towards the second half of the month, you're going to have this conjunction of energy within the fifth house, right? Where all these malefic energies, which is Ketu, Mars, Sun, and everything is conjunct with your planetary lord Mercury. Now, this is certainly going to be the time period wherein you are going to feel extremely charged when it comes to the fact that, you might not feel like you want to be peaceful or accommodative or people pleasing in a scenario where things seem to be quite difficult to figure out. So there can be chances wherein you become extremely combative when it comes to defending your own interests, defending your own persona, defending your own monetary investments. So these kind of issues can come about, and this may actually tie in with the whole factor that we discussed, that there might be something in relation to family matters, and that actually trickling down into your own personal situations. The whole prospect of being amicable or the whole prospect of being peace loving is going to go out of the door. This can even be with regards to your romantic relationships, because as we know that the fifth house is the house of romance, and the planet Venus works the best in the sign of Libra. So the whole prospect of even having these kind of conflicts or combats with your romantic relationship partners can also come about, wherein there can be ideological differences between the two of you, and that can lead to a lot of conflict. Also, you have to be careful when it comes to the fact that the investments you're making need to be made carefully, especially in speculative investments, because the risk can actually overtake the kind of profits you're looking for during this time period. And this gets further substantiated because the planet Venus is transiting through your third house, but it gets an aspect by both retrograde planets, which is the retrograde Saturn and the retrograde Jupiter. So cumulatively, it is going to impact your ability to be able to communicate openly with people right now, hence exacerbating the whole point of having conflicts, be it within the family structure, with regards to authority, or within your romantic relationships with regards to autonomy or personality and just individuality. We also see that this is going to be the last month wherein Rahu is going to be conjunct with retrograde Jupiter in your 11th house, and it is subsequently going to move on by the end of this month into your 10th house. Now, what this says is that there is going to be this phase wherein just every sort of relationship in your life is kind of, sadly, like is in conflict or it's falling apart, and it's just like the kind of frustration can come about within your being, as because the 11th house is a house of your network circle, it's a house of your friends, it's a house of your acquaintances. So the whole fact that you can feel deceived by the kind of support system you thought you had, you can feel deceived by your network circle, you can feel at odds with your romantic partners, you can feel mistrusted by your family. So all in all, charge is very negatively pronounced within your relationships during this month, and that can lead to a lot of emotional breakdown, because we also have a lunar eclipse which is going to happen in your 11th house. So you can feel this need to shed away or just be separated from the kind of company that you have, which is not supportive emotionally. As we progress into the next 18-month phase of Rahu, you are going to now solely be focused on your career, because you feel deceived through all ends of your relationships, you are now going to push yourself towards your career, because that is going to be in a form your coping mechanism to deal with this burden over your personal issues is going to now get maneuvered through your professional endeavors. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want to hear the unedited version of this prediction, head on to the Patreon channel, and the link for which will be given in the description box. Cancers, this month you are going to have this conjunction and opposition of energy happen within your 10th house of career and your 4th house of home and family. Let us discuss how this axis is going to change focus, the kind of priorities you have currently in your life, because we will also be experiencing a solar and lunar eclipse on the same axis of your 4th and 10th house. So let us get into it and discuss how you're going to be manifesting the planetary energies in this month for yourself. So we see that this conjunction of energy with Rahu and retrograde Jupiter in your 10th house. So there has been this energy of dealing with your career in a way wherein you have been focused on reinventing yourself to be able to reprioritizing on learning when it comes to your career prospects and being able to hence progress through the career ladder or the professional ladder. And this you might have been doing in conjunction with your work already. But what happens here is that Rahu is now going to move into your 9th house, and this is going to be an 18-month cycle. So now you are going to be in a phase wherein you are going to seriously take up higher educational prospects, right? And you are going to commit fully to being able to reinvent yourself holistically in a way wherein you are not just half-assing both the things, but you are completely willing to redirect your professional prospects by undertaking some solid learning and educational courses. So that is definitely a prospect which is about to happen here. You will be experiencing a lunar eclipse with this same house by the end of this month. So this is definitely again an opening sign wherein we can see that emotionally this is going to be a time wherein you certainly check out of certain issues that you might have been facing with people of authority at your workplace. So there can be a prospect or also of the fact that you might have some difficulty with balancing your learning and your working, and there can just be such an emotional toll on you that you will finally decide to just snap out of it and finally make the decision to commit yourself from one space completely. We also see that on the opposite end of this axis that we have this huge conjunction of malefic energy which is going to be there when it comes to Ketu, Mars, Sun, all being conjunct with Mercury eventually in your 4th house. Now Cancer, being the 4th sign of the zodiac, also has very similarly prominent energies as the 4th house of the astrology. So this is definitely going to impact your psyche, because you are going to feel the strain of all the work issues also trickle down into your familial interactions, also the kind of dynamics that you have at home. And this can certainly feel like a time wherein you feel like you're devoid of mental peace wherever you look. All in all, because your planetary lord moon is going to be eclipse during this month, and you also have the impact of all these malefic energies within your fourth house of emotional clarity, peace, and just home, family, and all these intrinsically personal things. You are going to be very challenged when it comes to being able to mentally and emotionally regulate yourself. And that is going to make it extremely difficult for you to not be confrontational or just combustive when it comes to the fact that, you can feel quite unsupported. Or, as I said, that Rahu is now going to transit into your ninth house for the next 1.5 years. You are now going to start looking into means of spiritual, religious, or philosophical thoughts and beliefs which are going to bring you that peace, because you are now seeking it from outside of your surroundings and your mundane life. Venus is going to be present in your second house. But the caveat here is that it is going to be aspected by retrograde Jupiter and the retrograde Saturn, both cumulatively. So what happens here is both of the houses which are somewhere related to your family values, money, are all getting impacted. So you are going to have a realization, trying to make a living, making ends meet, but it is not actualizing in the kind of financial security or the kind of gains that I want or expect now that I have been upskilling. So there has to be another way for me to be able to exceed just the means of making ends meet. Just being compliant and following what your family's ideals are when it comes to their values, and not just about like how you conduct your dynamics within a family, but also your monetary values and financial values within your family. So you are going to go against those norms, against those sort of set rules and ideals. And this is also because you will experience a solar eclipse during the midpoint of the month in this fourth house with all this malefic energy. So definitely it is going to manifest as a sort of breakdown within the ideological identity that you had as a family member of this unit that you had at home. You will have a Sun and Mercury conjunction within your third house. You are going to feel this sense of not being able to communicate about your feelings or the ideate completely, but you will internally analyze things very critically. You can feel like your communication is being suppressed by authority, be it authority within your family or authority within your workspace. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to hear the unedited version, head on to the Patreon channel, and the link for which will be given in the description box. Leos, for you, this month is going to be very catalytic and transformative, because your planetary lord Sun is going to be in an eclipse during this month, which is going to have a major impact on you. And we also see that you have your third and ninth house axis getting majorly activated by this opposition energy being created with a lot of conjunction, especially in your third house, wherein there is this amalgamation of malefic energy being catapulted with the Ketu, Mars, and Sun, and eventually Mercury also getting conjunct in the sign of Libra. Why this is extremely significant for you right now is because your ascendant lord is currently transiting in this house, and Sun is basically debilitated or in its worst condition in the sign of Libra. And on top of that, you are also going to experience a solar eclipse during this time period. So all in all, this compounded effect is definitely going to cause a sort of identity crisis wherein you are going to question your soul, your purpose, your direction in life at this point. And this is extremely detrimentally going to be effective when it comes to the fact that your own sense of confidence or feeling like your efforts are amounting to the kind of results that you wanted to manifest, or the kind of hard work that you're putting into whatever work that you're doing currently is manifesting the kind of opportunities that you wanted to. So these kind of challenges might come about wherein you feel inadequate because of the failure in the kind of results that you want to be generated as a result of the efforts that you're putting into your ventures right now. And also because this is happening within your house of communication, you are going to suffer the sort of lag communicatively, because you are going to feel that all the struggles that you're going through currently when it comes to your self-worth and self-image, it's hard to be able to communicate those things with people around you. It'll make you feel in a way isolated. Once you go through the solar eclipse, you are going to basically have to shed away from your self-limiting beliefs. Also, probably if you feel that you have people around you who do not believe in your abilities like you do, or that you would like to do at this point, then you will also be prompted into situations which will basically make you shed away or break out of those sort of um, dynamics or relationships with people. And this is further substantiated because you have your Venus right now transiting through your first house of self. So this definitely goes to show the fact that you are going to have this impact over your personality, wherein rather than feeling inadequate, or you don't feel as lovable, or you don't even appreciate yourself at this point the way you should, because you will have this sort of compounded effect of two retrograde planets, which is retrograde Jupiter and retrograde Saturn, both impacting your first house. So this goes to show that you are in a stage where you could have felt overtly impacted by other people's opinions about you. And this also is prevalent in the fact that you have a retrograde Saturn happening through your seventh house of romantic partnerships and business relationships. So this definitely goes to show the fact that you have to, during this time period, be able to leave your self-limiting beliefs, your unnecessary critique over your values, over your purpose in life. All these things need to be revamped. You have to believe in yourself to be able to really manifest the kind of things you want to, and you're putting efforts behind, and rather work on creating a self-sufficient ecosystem around you and even within you that helps you to be able to achieve your ambitions and your results. But not just that, it also has to work for your self-belief and your self-worth, so that it is not overtly dictated by what people's opinion or image of you is. Retrograde Jupiter and Rahu being conjunct within your ninth house. And this is also a house wherein by the end of this month you will experience a lunar eclipse. So this whole amalgamation of energy here is going to definitely put a sort of revelation in your brain, especially when it comes to the kind of people or the kind of mechanisms that you're following when it comes to your religious, spiritual, or philosophical transformations of beliefs and values. Your emotional connection with the kind of probably the people you're following, or the paths that you were following towards these explorations seem to not work for you emotionally because of the overwhelming conditions of the other facets in your life. So you will have to kind of redirect your approach, or the way you are basically depending on these things for your emotional release, for your emotional competency at this point. So thank you so much for watching. And if you want to hear the unedited version of this prediction, then please go on to the Patreon channel, and the link for which will be given in Virgos. For you, this month is going to start a whole new set of change in priority and focus in your life as the nodes of the moon or Rahu and Ketu change their signs for the next 18 months, wherein your whole evaluation and purpose of your life is definitely going to have a drastic change. So let us discuss how these changes of the nodes as well as the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse is going to be impacting you. You have your Sun and Mercury are conjunct in your first house. Typically, this would have been a great transit for your self-confidence, for your vitality, for your purpose in life, feeling driven towards achieving those goals. But in this scenario, this context is not as applicable because the energy of the change of nodes is already apparent right now. So there is this sense of Ketu being already there within your first house, creating a sort of disillusion of your identity, of what are the things that you feel you are lacking within yourself, which is obstructing you from achieving your purpose, from achieving your goals, which can make you feel like you're not able to heal yourself in a way that you would like to, or to be able to as productive as you would like to be. So these kind of challenges might come about. And because Sun and Mercury are both going to be majorly impacted during this month because of the solar eclipse, this holistically will not be completely positive transit in the initial part of the month. But as we move on to the latter part of the month, which is from the midpoint month when the solar eclipse happens within your second house, and when it gets conjunct with all the malefic energies, which is Ketu, Mars, Sun, and as well as Mercury eventually, you will go through a time period wherein your finances are going to be a major proponent regarding the focus for you during this month, because the kind of houses which are getting activated for you during this time period are going to be your second and eighth house axis, which has a lot to deal with monetary aspects, finances, your values, your belief systems, and even things like taxes and insurance and things like that. Your ability to deal with monetary security, to be able to deal with the prospect of creating a balance within your finances in a way wherein you can feel secure as well as feel driven towards achieving disconnect when it comes to your familial values, wherein you can feel quite combative when it comes to your situations within the family. It can feel like things or some sort of conflicts have come to a boiling point wherein nobody seems to be able to keep the peace and to be able to basically make amends in a way where you could have possibly been able to tide over or smooth things over before. You're not able to do that now. On the other end of this axis, you have Rahu and retrograde Jupiter conjunct within your 8th house. And we will also have a lunar eclipse in this house during the end of the month. Now, why this is again a thing which is going to be difficult for you is because lunar eclipse, basically meaning the eclipse of the moon energy. Moon basically does not work well within the 8th house. It is its house of debilitation. And now because an eclipse is also happening, transformation within your emotional sense of being able to feel a sense of positivity or feel a sense of hope within these kind of situations which are tough when it comes to your family and when it comes to your financials. So you can feel like a sort of reality check in a way where some secrets might also be revealed, which makes the situation much more realistic and pragmatic rather than optimistic and hopeful for you. Let go of, especially when it comes to your need to be able to depend on your family for certain financial help or some sort of revenue that you can receive from some shared resources is definitely going to come into question. Venus right now, which is a planet of both finances and love is right now in your 12th house, but it is getting impacted by retrograde Saturn and retrograde Jupiter, both aspects. And this is basically kind of creating a conjoint aspect from all the Dusthana houses, all the malefic houses, which is the 6th house, the 8th house, and the 12th house. You are going to feel a constraint monetarily where you can possibly also lose out money when it comes to certain situations which will arise on the account of certain financial debts or certain kind of conspiracies or certain kind of challenges within your work sphere, as well as certain issues regarding probably your insurance, your taxes, or even your dependence on your shared resources with your family or your romantic partner. So be prepared for the fact that you have to get extremely realistic with your monetary resources. You have to make sure that you secure your finances. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want to hear the unedited version of this prediction, then go on to the Patreon channel, the link for which will be given in the description box. Libras, for you, this is going to be the most impactful month of 2023 because you have major eclipse energies which are impacting your 1st and 7th house axis, and this is going to completely change your priorities, your purpose, and your direction within your life at this point. We see that you have a huge amalgamation of conjunction of energies which is happening within your 1st house of malefic planets, which is Ketu, Mars, Sun, and eventually Mercury will get conjunct these planets. So you are in a phase of energies wherein you can feel disassociative yet quite passionate about your self-identity, your self-worth, your personality, your purpose, everything that is solely in relation to you. This is a sort of dichotomous energy wherein Mars can bring you the passion to be able to achieve or to be able to work towards your self-benefit. But Ketu also brings that sort of disillusionment or that sort of distance within those aspects. So there has been this energy for you within the past 1.5 years wherein you have felt that disconnect within your personality, within your purpose. You have been feeling lost. You are going to feel a sense of reckoning, a sense of literally like a divine intervention within your plans for yourself. You are going to be in a space where the whole fact regarding your identity, regarding your purpose, regarding your personality, regarding your self-worth, all of it is going to basically have such a tectonic shift that it is going to completely make sense to you after this point. You are going to be pushed into a phase where you are now, as the nodes shift, are going to completely focus on healing yourself, on being able to put in your energies towards progressing yourself, towards perfecting yourself, towards being able to work on yourself in a way that brings you the most benefit rather than your usual sense of pouring into other people's cups and being in service to other people. And this is going to be further accentuated by the fact that you will have a lunar eclipse on the opposition end of this sort of energies which is going to be taking place within your 7th house, as we have Rahu and retrograde Jupiter also getting conjunct with this lunar eclipse energies at the end of the month. So this is definitely going to bring you a sort of disillusionment or a sort of breakdown within your emotional barriers towards being able to let go of certain people. You are going to basically take off the blindfold over your eyes regarding other people's intentions which you have perceived to be positive, but now you are going to be so disillusioned of other people, wherein you completely clearly see other people's their intentions, you see through everything that they are doing right now. So you are in a phase wherein you're going to have this sense of feeling let down by people around you, but this is going to be the breakthrough that you need to be able to steer yourself towards the journey of healing yourself and the journey of being able to really vouch for focusing on yourself rather than just catering to other people's benefits. Venus, which is the planet that rules your sign, is going to be transiting through your 11th house of gains. But what restricts those gains in a way is the fact that retrograde Saturn and retrograde Jupiter are both having a cumulative aspect over this Venus. Now, this is definitely going to be a time period wherein you are going to also not just start questioning your romantic partners, but you are also going to start questioning the kind of people you have around you, because you are going to be in a space wherein you could have felt let down by not just your romantic partners but also by the people in general who are surrounding you, like your friends, like your network circle. So you're going to have a very critically analytical way of figuring out or analyzing the kind of company you keep and the kind of people you entertain, basically. So you have to alienate those people's influence on you when it comes to the kind of decisions you make for your monetary investments, for your financial gains. The initial part of the month, you will have the Sun and Mercury conjunction within your 12th house, basically bringing you a bout of a sense of loneliness, a sense of being isolated, not being able to connect with people. And this basically will tie into all the stumbling blocks that will keep rolling once we hit the midpoint of the month, and then just it'll start accelerating. Being okay with being able to enjoy your own company, to be able to appreciate that silence, and in that work towards your own self benefit, work towards your own financial goals, work towards your own professional goals. So thank you so much for watching, and if you would like to hear the unedited version of this prediction, then please go on to my Patreon channel, and the link for which will be given in the description box. Scorpios, you are going to have a month which is going to be quite transformational, in the sense that you are going to be pushed in a way to let go of things which are not serving you any longer, also which are not bringing you any peace or helping you balance out on the challenges which are happening on your home front as well as your professional front. So this is going to be a month wherein you are going to have that sort of eclipse energy, which is going to create a sort of environment wherein anything which is toxic in your environment right now is going to be eradicated. And this is also because your planetary lord Mars is going to be severely conjuncted with other malefic planets, which is Ketu and Sun, and eventually also Mercury within your 12th house. And this can also generate circumstances wherein all the stress which is happening around in your surroundings can definitely impact you negatively to an extent that can cause even harm to your well-being. So you have to be careful of not letting your stress levels or your environment affect you to a degree wherein it impacts or harms your well-being, because the 12th house is the house of hospitalizations. You also have a opposition energy which is happening within your sixth house, wherein Rahu and retrograde Jupiter is going to get conjunct with a lunar eclipse. So basically, there is this sort of enlightening of these two houses on your sixth house and 12th house axis, which has a lot to do with healing, which has a lot to do with your health. When it comes to the conjunction of energies which is happening within your 12th house, this is definitely a time period wherein it is going to be pushing you to let go of people, especially who are not serving your best interests right now. This can also be in terms of any romantic relationships which you might have had. So all in all, this is going to be a sort of cleansing energy within your environment, which will help you basically to balance out the kind of peace that you're seeking in your routine, or you're seeking in your life at this point. And we also see that there will be a solar eclipse during this month, where all these energies are getting amalgamated in your 12th house. So you will also be basically pushed into a sphere wherein you will want to work towards creating a sort of isolation, or creating a sort of solitude for yourself, which basically in a way disconnects you from the people that are around you, but also in a way pushes you to heal yourself further. And this can be further substantiated as Ketu and Rahu will be changing their signs by the end of this month for the next 18 months. And we see that your Ketu will subsequently transit through your 11th house of network circles and friends. So this definitely shows the fact that you are going to be pushing yourself towards being a little distant from people at this point, and probably that is required for you to heal the kind of injuries which have been caused to you by the circumstances created by people around you. So that is certainly something that can be a probability here. We also see that when you will go through the lunar eclipse within your sixth house by the end of the month, you will feel situations come to a heat, especially when it is in relation to your work environment. And you are going to feel a sense of an untapped nervous energy, which is created in a way that can basically be a premonition to the things which are about to come. But you are going to feel overwhelmed emotionally by the situations at work. And this is going to be a time period wherein you will have to decide how much will you be able to endure and be able to push through when it comes to your work situations as well. And this even pertains to your health, because your healing and health is very interconnected to the kind of stress or the situations that are created around you at work. This is further substantiated because Venus will be transiting through your 10th house of career. And though this could have been a positive transit, what is happening here is that retrograde Saturn and retrograde Jupiter are putting a cumulative aspect onto this house. So this goes to again show that there can be instances wherein your public image is not favorably looked upon, and that can create that sort of catalytic downward spiral in relation to the kind of support you might have had within your work environment, or the kind of goodwill you could have had with your superiors. This is even in relation to your monetary compensation as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to hear the unedited version of this prediction, then head on to my Patreon channel, and the link for which will be given in the description box. Sagittarians, for you this month is going to bring a lot of catalytic changes within your surroundings when it comes to the people that you surround yourself with. And this is because your 11th and 5th house axis is getting activated by a conjunction of planets in these houses, as well as the solar and lunar eclipse, which we'll be experiencing on this, the 5th house and 11th house axis. So you are going to feel this sort of revelation when it comes to the quality of people that you have around you, in terms of the friends that you have, in terms of the romantic connections that you have. And this is going to be a little challenging when it comes to the fact that there will be situations created in a way wherein you will have to deal with a falling out within these circles on the basis of the fact that a lot of morals or a lot of values that you have will not feel consistent with the kind of people that you have around you at this point. And this can come about in a very dramatic fashion. So we'll start with the fact that your ascendant lord right now is in a retrograde motion, as Jupiter is going to be in your 5th house, and which is going to be conjunct with Rahu. And we are also going to be seeing a lunar eclipse happening by the end of this month within this house itself. So this definitely goes to show that there is going to be a sense of emotional overwhelm when it comes to your romantic connections, and how basically those are influencing or impacting your emotions in a way that makes you even feel disconnected with your sense of self. So you are going to have a sort of realization in a way which creates this understanding that the kind of relationship that you have currently romantically might not be beneficially or positively influencing your emotional state, and it might not be impacting your confidence or your creativity in a way which is positive. So that sort of realization might strike you during the lunar eclipse, this lunar eclipse, and as it is conjunct your planetary lord, it can even impact your psyche very negatively. So you have to be careful to not let any sort of dissolution of relationships impact you so detrimentally that it even impacts your sense of self or confidence. We have a solar eclipse which will be taking place within your 11th house, and this is going to be in conjunction with a lot of malefic planetary energy, which is Ketu, Mars, Sun, and eventually Mercury also getting conjunct within this house. So your 11th house has a lot to do with your network circle, with your friends. So this is again going to create a sort of narrative wherein the kind of people you are surrounded with can also feel constricting to you right now. When it comes to your well-being, when it comes to your individuality, it can feel dampening on your spirit, wherein you will feel like you are being held back from your potential. So while you're going through a sort of transformation within your romantic relationships, you can also feel catapulted towards initiating that sort of cleansing energy within your network circle as well, within your friends as well. You are going to feel a little out of balance when it comes to relationships in all facets of your life at this point, and this can create a sense of feeling isolated. Now, subsequently, we also see that Venus is going to be transiting through your ninth house. But the caveat here is that it is going to have a cumulative aspect by both retrograde planets, which is retrograde Saturn as well as retrograde Jupiter, upon it. Now, why this is concerning in terms of your financial prospects is because both the fifth house and the 11th house are also connected with your financial gains, are also connected with your financial investments into speculative instruments of investments. So, all in all, this is going to even potentially be detrimental to your, let's say, your stock market portfolio, or your any sort of investments that you've made into riskier financial instruments are definitely going to be right now within a sort of danger zone, because the kind of luck you would have felt previously with relation to your financial investments is not going to be up to par right now. So that sort of prospect can also come about. So there can be an instance wherein the kind of educational degrees or the kind of courses that you're undertaking, you can feel quite distanced from an interest to pursue those things as you would have felt previously. There can be an instance wherein you can feel that your efforts are lacking within the prospect of being able to pursue your educational prospects, and it can feel quite stifling when it comes to your sense of self. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want to hear the unedited version of this prediction, then please head on to my Patreon channel, and the link for which will be given in the description box. Capricorns, for you during this month, you are going to have an increased focus within two spheres of your life, which is your professional as well as your personal life. And this is because there is this huge accumulation of energy within your fourth house as well as your 10th house because of conjunctions happening of numerous planets. And also there are going to be two sets of eclipses, which is the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse on the same axis, which is your fourth house and 10th house axis. So let us discuss how these events are going to be influencing you. So we see that your 10th house is getting majorly impacted by an accumulation of malefic energy, which is Ketu, Mars and Sun all getting conjunct in your 10th house, and eventually Mercury will also be conjunct with this energy. So we see that you are going to have this phase wherein your connection with people at your work right now might not manifest in a great way, and this might be particularly pertinent when it comes to your equation with your superiors, because there is this incidence wherein you can have this sort of disconnect from a people pleasing persona. Mars and Sun generally do well in the 10th house, but the caveat here is that Ketu is also conjunct with these energies, and not just that, we will also have a solar eclipse within your 10th house during this month. So all in all, this kind of goes into a different context as it would have if there was just like a conjunction of, let's say, Mars or Sun. So this definitely goes to show the fact that you are going to have to break away from certain personas that you could have inculcated within your workspace, because this is a time period wherein you are going to find it difficult to be able to just be pleasant to people and not, get into some combat. You are going to be driven in a way while you're trying to be away from conflict, but you are also in a way pushed towards figuring out or solving the issues. On the other end, we also have in your fourth house a lunar eclipse which is going to take place while there's also a conjunction of retrograde Jupiter and Rahu. So we see that there's this clear incidence of the fact that you are also, while trying to maneuver and figure out your professional sort of situation right now, you're also having to deal with your emotional context with regards to your family and home. This is going to be a little challenging because lunar eclipse is basically going to force you to confront the issues that you would have within your family dynamics, which are causing you to have a sort of emotional meltdown in a way, wherein you are finding it difficult to be able to self actualize and be able to maneuver or just be able to handle it all together. It's becoming very difficult for you to be able to figure it all out. And also because your planetary lord Saturn is presently in your second house, and it is also changing its nakshatra in this month, and that nakshatra is ruled by Mars again. So all in all, this connection again goes to scream out in the fact that there are going to be these weird combative outlashings in a way wherein you can have these kind of tiffs within your family out of nowhere. Even if you are trying to be non-combative, it can come about in a way wherein you get pushed into figuring out what it is that really needs to be addressed for you to be able to achieve emotional peace at this point. We also see that you will have your Venus transiting through the 8th house, and this is also going to be impacted by both the retrograde planets, which is the retrograde Saturn as well as the retrograde Jupiter. So this goes to definitely show that you are in a space wherein your monetary resources are something which is going to be a huge deal. So rather than depending, or rather than just going with the flow of whatever unpredictability is right now consistent within your finances, you need to be able to make sense of what kind of gains are you really looking at, and especially if they are connected with your family, wherein you possibly were looking for some help or some sort of assistance from them, to basically probably dip into some shared resources with your family that you must have had. It is going to be difficult to be able to acquire them because of the ongoing sort of challenges within your family structures and dynamics. Romantic relationships, this might be a difficult period wherein whatever romantic connections you have can seem to be quite challenging in a way, because the sort of frequency that you have within the partners might get quite misconstrued. It can be quite mysterious in a way wherein both the people might feel like they're not on the same page. So misunderstandings might arise because of it. There can be a feeling of, the person keeping secrets or not being open enough, as the last month wherein Rahu and Ketu are going to be within your 4th and 10th house. They are now going to go on to a new phase of an 18 months period wherein they are going to move into your 3rd and 9th house. So this definitely is going to be a time period wherein you are going to be quite driven to achieve the things that you want to be able to achieve. Thank you so much for watching, and if you would like to hear the unedited version of this prediction, then please go on to the Patreon channel, and the link for which will be given in the description box. Aquarius, for you this month is going to be quite pivotal because you are going to be facing a lot of concentration of energies within your 3rd house and 9th house axis, wherein there is an accumulation of conjunctions within planetary alignments, as well as you will be experiencing a lunar and solar eclipse on the same axis of the 3rd and 9th house. So let us get into understanding how this month is going to be influencing you during this time period. So we see that you have your planetary lord Saturn, which is going to be retrograde for the last month now. We will see that the motion of Saturn will get direct in the next month. So that is a good omen. But while this is going to be retrograde for this month, you will also experience a change within the nakshatra that Saturn is currently retrograding through. And this is going to be Dhanishta nakshatra, which is ruled by Mars. As we can currently see, Mars is in a sort of situation wherein it is getting accumulated with other malefic conjunctions, which is Ketu, Mars, Sun, and eventually Mercury will also be conjunct there. So we see that there is this sort of energy within your ninth house which is being created, wherein you are going to feel a weird sort of dichotomous equation with your own religious, spiritual, or philosophical beliefs, morals, and values, being distant from these concepts, but also in a way pushed towards being able to dissect why that avoidance or that distance comes about in the first place. So that kind of equation can come about here, wherein you will dissect your relationship with your own religious identity, your own spiritual beliefs, your own philosophical ideals. And this can also be interpreted in the way that you can be pursuing some sort of educational qualifications. You can feel conflicted within your interest to be able to pursue it, to find meaning within it. But you are on top of all of this also going to be experiencing a solar eclipse in this month within this same house. So this is definitely a sign or an omen wherein it becomes very clear that you are going to be in a phase where your identity and your relation with all of these concepts of religion, spirituality, philosophy is all going to come to a head, wherein you are going to question these things, understand your relationship with it, how that ties in with your relationship with others as well. How do you basically compute connecting with people on the basis of some similarities within these concepts, or within the similarity of possibly similar qualifications or similar education pursuits. So that can be something that you will be dissecting and looking upon during this time period. And this is something that will be quite monumental for you to be able to understand what kind of people you want around you at this point of time. On the other end of this conjunction of energy, we also have a lunar eclipse, which will be happening within your third house in conjunction with Rahu and retrograde Jupiter. Emotional cleansing, which is required because you are in a space of trying to communicate about these challenges that you're facing when it comes to your ideological identity, your emotional and mental connection with your thoughts, morals, values, and things like that, because Jupiter is the actual significator of all the ninth house energies. So this definitely goes to show that you are in a phase where you are looking to figure out these concepts in a way that even affirms your self-belief, that even affirms your own self-identity, that even affirms the fact that you have to find a way to be able to stay consistently motivated towards probably following through certain commitments that you have, following through certain sort of pursuits, probably of education, of knowledge that you have undertaken. So this can be a time period wherein you are re-evaluating emotionally your connections with these things that you have undertaken, and just trying to understand how to be able to have a positive dialogue within your own self identity and confidence and things like that. We also see that you have a Venus which is transiting through your seventh house. Now, this would have been a great transit if it was not being impacted by both retrograde energies, which is of retrograde Saturn as well as of retrograde Jupiter. So this is a direct indication of the fact that there is a sort of challenge which is coming about within your romantic relationships, wherein you are not able to communicate your interests in the best way possible. There is no balance within the fact that what are your personal self interests and what are the combined interests within your partnership or relationship. So that can be something which is going to be quite difficult to maneuver. And this can be caused because of a communicative lag or a sort of misunderstanding within the communication of your challenges. Understanding and revelations about self identity, about confidence, about self worth, a lot of it can also be tied in within your relationships to other people. And this is a time wherein you will have to take a step back and just try to realize how basically your self identity and confidence is basically functioning, or how are you able to manage it without the influence of other people on you. Thank you so much for watching, and if you would like to hear the unedited version of this video, then please head on to my Patreon channel, and the link for which will be given in the description box. Pisces, you are going to be experiencing an intense accumulation of energies which are going to be influencing your financial realm of investments and security and safety and everything in relation to your monetary aspects, as well as your relationships, be it romantic or familial. So let us try to understand how the transits that are happening in October are going to be influencing your sign. So we will start with the fact that your planetary lord Jupiter is currently retrograde in your second house, and this is in conjunction with Rahu, wherein there is also going to be a lunar eclipse this month within this house. So this accumulation of energies within your second house definitely goes to show that there is this sense of feeling not as optimistic about your finances, in a way wherein it can create a sort of insecurity within the fact that you feel like your finances are not as secure or are not as stable as you would like them to be. And this can cause a significant amount of emotional turmoil or disturbance, wherein it can impact even your connections with your family, wherein this aspect can make you feel inadequate to an extent that it even jeopardizes your connections with your family, emotional lacking in a way wherein you can feel like you have to kind of let go of certain facets when it comes to your value systems, which are very much influenced by your family, which you can feel like are kind of holding you back when it comes to being able to achieve the kind of financial liberation or success that you would like to be able to achieve. And on the other end of this energy, we see that on your 8th house, there is a amalgamation of malefic energy when Ketu, Mars, Sun, and also eventually Mercury will get conjunct here. So this is definitely going to be an energy wherein you will have to go down to the depths of understanding how you can basically, be able to understand who you can really depend on at a moment like this, because there is this sort of feeling wherein you can feel quite isolated, or a sort of feeling of not being able to be open enough with your partners, be it romantic or business, in a way where you can be able to discuss your issues. And this also goes to show the fact that you will have to be able to really dissect who is it when it comes to your relationships that really brings you peace in times of uncertainty or unexpected changes, because you will also have a solar eclipse take place within this house in this month. So there is definitely the scope of you feeling not like you can really open up to people and display your personality or your issues, or even at times your affection. And that can create a sense of inadequacy within your feelings, wherein you do not feel as forthcoming. And this is also going to be a time period wherein you will have to take stock of who can probably help you financially at this point as well, because 8th house has a lot to do with gains that are created by basically using other people's resources. So this can also be a prospect wherein you will have to understand which people can you depend on to be able to help you to acquire that sort of help, probably if you're not able to generate that sort of finance. And this is further substantiated by the fact that you will have Venus transiting through your sixth house of debts, and basically Venus is all about money. So this is definitely a time period wherein you are probably looking into something with relation to your monetary debts that are acquired. And because there is this aspect of retrograde Jupiter and retrograde Saturn both on Venus, so basically this is definitely going to show that you have to be extremely careful of being able to stabilize your finances in a way that you're able to pay off your debt and also not probably lose out on your savings that you might have accumulated. You have to figure out probably if there are any people around you who could be helping you. It may be even your romantic relationships or your partnerships, business partnerships, or it can even come about from probably your network circle at work. This is the last month. Rahu is going to be in your second house. It is eventually going to move into your first house for the next 18 months. And this is going to be a time period wherein your whole life is going to be completely changed when it comes to the fact that how you focus on yourself, how you're able to really figure out your self-worth, your purpose, your personality, and all those things will become quite monumental for you, wherein you will start to disconnect from your focus on others and completely start to focus on yourself and your own benefit. If you would like to hear the unedited version of this prediction, then head on to my Patreon channel, and the link for which will be given in the description box. And with discussing all of the personalized predictions for the zodiac signs, we have come to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you resonated with the prediction shared, then please do share your experiences in the comment section. And also please do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so that you can stay updated with all the videos that will be released throughout the month, especially as it's such a astrologically important month where a lot of intense events are happening, and all of those will be discussed on the channel. So to stay updated, please don't forget to support the channel. I will see you soon with the next video. Until then, take care, you all.